All right, welcome to the Franchise Time Machine. Sorry for the longer than usual startup period, but I've been enjoying the end of Ezra Denny's OTP after talk. So tonight we're gonna build a roster. So Venezuela had terrible earthquakes, and I think the death toll is now over 1,500 people. So we're gonna build a roster, and I'll do a sim. We'll do a Venezuela Memorial sim. Hopefully this Friday, if I'm able to stream Friday afternoon, we'll do that. So we'll do our typical roster build. Here's our roster build form. I've got a BREF up. I did a search by players from Venezuela, then did a sort by career war. But we'll miss some of the really good single season wars. But if we go down far enough, I think we'll see those too. But I don't think we'll start with the two players from our title slide. Miguel Cabrera. We want Jose Altuve. Ezra Denny, welcome in. Thank you for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. Usually I have the starting soon screen up for like 5 minutes while I get ready to stream. I was enjoying the end of Ezra's stream and his talk about the hacky sack shortage. So left the screen up a little longer than normal, so I apologize for that. But yeah, tonight we're going to do a roster build. Venezuela had some terrible earthquakes, and last I saw the death toll was over 1,500. So I thought, let's build a roster of the best players in Venezuela. Do a Venezuela Memorial Sim. Ideally this Friday, if if my schedule allows. I have my oldest kiddo is playing in a. She made all stars for softball this year, and so she has a tournament to play in. And depending on how they do, I may or may not be able to send Friday afternoon. But we'll get it streamed some point. I like Friday afternoons the best because we get a different audience, we get a bigger audience, especially for these themed and tribute sims. But Ezra, if that's a link you want me to share, if you want to whisper it to me, I can go ahead and put it in the chat. Actually, I don't know why Ezra's not a mod on my channel. Ezra, do you want to be a mod on my channel? Oh, it's Doctors Without Borders. Yeah, if you send that to me, I'll post it for sure. I'll put it in the chat and we'll pin it. Yeah, maybe I'll put that link up when I stream it too. Only Cardinal fan. You can only ban Cardinal fan. So yeah, these tribute sims are more fun when we could do it for something like Hall of Fame inductions and stuff. But I do I do think it's important also to acknowledge things like this that happen. So we're gonna build out this roster tonight. Should be a good roster build. Lots of great players from Venezuela. Um, so here's the screen that I was talking about. This is a BREF. Let me find it in. Here you go. So BREF will let you search by country of birth is one of the fields you can search by. And then what I did is I did a sort by career war. And so that's the list we get. And I'm just now realizing if I click through it and I come back to the list, then I have to resort it every time. So let me go ahead and set up a separate window for the players. for a player search. So we'll go back and forth between the two. So this will be the list. Yeah, there's some really interesting and fun names on this list. Aparicio at short, Bobby Abreu. I think Altuve, Aparicio up the middle would be a lot of fun. Mets legend Johan Santana, King Felix Hernandez. We've got actually two great fielding shortstops here in Vizquel and Aparicio. Yeah, Maglio's on here. I think Dave Concepcion will be a fun utility infielder. Freddie Garcia. The Big Cat, also on our cat theme team. Actually, I think he got cut from our cat theme team. So we'll try to find a way to keep him on this one. Yeah, there's Ronald Acuna Jr., there's Alfonso. Melvin Moore, a great utility player. Wilson Alvarez, good left-handed arm. Kelvin Escobar, Francisco Rodriguez, some good bullpen arms there. Ranger Suarez can add a little depth to the rotation. Pretty heavy on shortstops. Ozzie Guillen, Aparicio, Vizquel. Who else? I saw another one earlier. Richard Hidalgo in the outfield always has some fun perfect team cards. Yeah, the Panda is on there. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's enough pitching. I'm seeing some names here. We only need one good season from each of them. Urbina's on the naughty list, right? We're not going to take him. Yeah, I think pitching depth might be tough. I think yeah, since we only need one season each, I think there'll be enough pitching here. But it's definitely top heavy. The top end is going to be a lot better than the depth. In fact, we can switch this to a pitcher view also, and we can do pitching sort by pitching war. Yeah, I think there's enough here. You take the best season from these guys, I think there's enough here. Oh, Victor Zambrano is probably gonna have a decent two-way season. Let's see. Where's the batting? Oh no, who am I thinking of? A different pitcher? Oh, Carlos Zambrano. That's right. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, the Cubs pitcher. Although if we want a guy who led the league in hit by pitches, we can take Victor. But yeah, the pitching list. I think when we look at the whole list and sort of by uh, traded for Scott Casimir, I knew I knew at some point AW would pull Casimir into this conversation. All right, so let's start with the lineups. I've got Miggy at probably at first. We may bump him to third if we have to. I think Altuve at second. I like this skill a lot, but I think we got to go with the Hall of Famer here, and Aparicio at short. We'll put Maglio's right field, right? Did I see Para on the list earlier? We need a center fielder. Thought I saw Para. Oh, or Hidalgo. Hidalgo plays center field. Yeah, we'll pencil in Hidalgo at center. Oh, Vizquel also a bad guy. Well, we don't. With Aparicio, we won't need him. So, Richard Hidalgo. So, can Abreu play left? Yes, he plays left a little bit later in his career. Or could we put Maglio in left? Because I don't I don't think Maglio is especially known for his glove. Wow, he played only right field his entire career. He had a couple seasons where he played center field to the right of the slash line, but only right field. Yeah, AW. I did mention that Miggy might have to bump to third if we have to. Um, so Abreu does play left later in his career, so we could put Abreu in left. Okay. Utility infielder, I think Dave Concepcion. Yeah, I think Salvador Perez will be our starting catcher. And then Wilson Contreras can be the backup catcher. Two L's, right? Two L's and Wilson Contreras. Oh, Elvis Andrews. Uh oh. Is my computer frozen? My BREF is definitely frozen. Okay, it unfroze. Thank goodness. Is he shortstop only, or does he? Yeah, he does play second base at the very end of his career. All right, so yeah, I actually don't think Andrews might not make the team. Edgardo Alfonso does play third, so we could put him at third. That way, Miggy can stay at first. I'll have to look at the seasons AW, but I think I like. I think Alfonso probably ahead of Mora, but Mora will be great utility. So we'll go ahead and put Mora in here right now. Okay, we have some outfielders on the outside looking in here. Yeah, Michael Garcia. Let's see, what positions has he played? I do like the WBC call that. I think that's a good point. I mean, playing for your country, and we're doing a country themed roster. I think that's. I think Acuna Jr. at least has to be, if not backup outfielder, DH consideration maybe. So we'll put Acuna Jr. here, or actually, whoever feels better will play right, and then the other will play DH. Um, your prediction is fact. Well, right now I'm going by career WAR. We'll look at individual seasons later, Nerd of Anarchy, and Wilson might take the spot. But right now, I mean William might take the spot, but right now I've got Wilson in there. I know Andres Galarraga might get bumped for the second roster in a row. The big cat was bumped from our cat roster. I mean, but I can't see taking Galarraga ahead of Miggy, Maglio, or Acuna Jr. I just don't see that happening. I mean, we could take a backup first baseman, I guess. Actually, that wouldn't be too bad because Miggy can back up third, and then Galarraga could back up first. It would be weird not to have Galarraga. But who would you bump for Acuna Jr.? I mean, you can't bump Hidalgo though because we don't have a center fielder. Otherwise, this is how you know you have a country with lots of good ball players. It's this hard to figure out. Um, you know who could play center? The captain of our all body team, Tony Armass. He'll at least be on the roster, I think. Tony Armas. Yeah, I think. Let me go ahead and put. It would be weird not to have Galarraga on this team. Oh, but then we don't have Sandoval. We don't have. Well, one thing we'll have to do is we'll have to see what the peakiest Galarraga season is. Because here are the other folks that I think we have to consider. Pablo Sandoval. Because I know he has some really good. I think he has a really good peak season. Uh, Carlos Gonzalez. Definitely have to consider Carlos Gonzalez. Now it might come down to Gonzalez because I think Gonzalez did play center, but I think he was mostly left, right? Oh, left and right he played mostly. Okay, he had a little bit of center early in his career. What other batters are we missing here? There's a bunch kind of like in the 20s career war group. I mean, let me just add a few more names here just for reference. We're gonna look them up later. Really to see like what their peak seasons look like. Gleyber Torres. Um, I don't think he'll make the team, but Ozzie Guillen, he can manage it for us though. All right, let's look at pitching. All right, going back to this list, go to pitching and sorting by WAR. I think we're gonna be fine. I think, yeah, this is looking better than I was thinking it would. All right, so let's start building here. I think the two automatics are Santana and Hernandez. Oh yeah, theme. Yeah, if you're doing a theme team, then you're really limited by what cards are available. But for these theme sims, it's we have all of Baseball Reference to pick from. So Johan Santana, Felix Hernandez. I'm assuming Freddie Garcia. Let's start with the rotation. Freddie Garcia. Let me take a quick look at Carlos Zambrano. What's his peakiest season? Yeah, he's got a 160 ERA plus season, a couple 135s. I think he'll probably make the rotation. Carlos Zambrano. I'm looking at Anibal Sanchez. I think he had a really good season, right? I think he was one of those players that had a really good peak season. Yeah, 162 ERA plus in 2013. I think that season might make the rotation too. And then let's do this. I'll start the bullpen pieces from the bottom. Right, so like K-Rod, definitely. Kelvin Escobar, almost certainly. I think Wilson Alvarez too is probably gonna, if not make the rotation, will at least be middle relief. Ranger Suarez, I think, is in a similar situation. How about Carlos Carrasco? Yeah, he had a few 139 ERA plus seasons. In 2020, the COVID short season, he had a 153 ERA plus. So Carlos Carrasco. I was just looking to see if Eduardo Rodriguez had good enough of peak season. Yeah, T. Davis. Andres Galarraga has been the source of quite a bit of discussion so far. And it actually might be tough for him to make the squad, but we'll have to see. It's going to depend, I think, on the quality of the peak seasons. Because right now I've been sorting by career war. He's in the mix. I think the peak seasons are really going to define it. And also position flexibility, too. So, yeah, okay. I think we're getting pretty close here. Yeah, his Rocky seasons are probably going to do it. I also think of him as an expo too. Oh, you know who we need in the bullpen is Hector Rondon. I'm looking to have like at least 3 or 4 like true relievers, and the rest can be starters. Pitching out of the pen. What if I sort the list by saves? Yeah, Robert Suarez had a huge season last year, sub 1 WHIP. Yeah, so let's add him. It's always fun when we take a guy from 2025 because he'll potentially pitch against himself. That's always kind of fun. Uh, Jorge Julio had a 2.17 ERA plus season, third in Rookie of the Year voting, 25 saves, a 12.06 ERA. Rafael Betancourt. He didn't start closing until the end of his career, but he has some huge ERA plus seasons. In 68 games, had a 307 ERA plus in Cleveland. That is sick. Okay, we got to take Rafael Betancourt. I'd rather have him, I think, than Suarez, because Suarez is so recent. He'll be in the league when we play against him, so we'll take Betancourt instead. Can we make a profile for just his perfect game? He is is in here. He's got the career. What's his career WAR? 2.5 career WAR. No, Altuve's our starting second baseman. I just had to scroll down. He's right there. I think Alvarez is probably going to make it because he's a lefty, right? I I think I remember that right. Wilson Alvarez. I'm like 99% sure he's a lefty. We always need lefties on these rosters. Yeah, he's a lefty. He's a lefty, and he had some peaky seasons, so I'm pretty sure he'll make it. Okay, so now let's start getting the info on these guys. So Salvador Perez, still active too. All right, so player ID. You can get the reason a lot of us use baseball reference or stuff like this is the baseball reference player ID is in the URL, and that's also his OOTP player ID. So he's an O2, which I would not have known necessarily. All right, let's pick out a peak season. Usually, any year with MVP votes, good sign. Also, we look for peak OPS plus, peak OPS, also good signs. That's interesting. He's not a huge OPS plus guy until 2021. Even that, it's like a 128, not huge, but did lead the majors in home runs and RBI. So I think 2021 feels like a pretty safe bet. Okay, Miguel Cabrera. This will be a fun one. Lots of bold, which means he led the league. Bold italics means he led the majors. We'll probably choose from his two MVP seasons. Right, I said MVP votes are a sign of a pretty good season for any player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 seasons in a row he got MVP votes, including winning two in a row. That's just crazy good quality. I think 2013, when you look at the rate stats, is probably the peak. Highest OPS plus, highest slug. I think 2013. Now I want to skip ahead to Alfonso because if his peak season is good enough, then we can keep Miggy at first, which would be nice. So let's look at Alfonso. Did have 3 seasons with MVP votes. .147 OPS plus is his peak in 2000. Also, his lone year as an All-Star. Yeah, this is a real good season. So let's take the 2000 Edgardo Alfonso. Also, he's one of those players where, like, when I look at his career, it's a little underwhelming when you see the whole thing laid out. I feel like he has more space in my brain than his record would warrant. But part of it is I'm a Mets fan. But yeah, this is not like the career I would have expected to see. Was Miggy projected to be really good as a young player? That I don't know. I mean, we could go back and see because he was already hitting 300 with Florida. He was an all-star in his first full season. He finished fifth in Rookie of the Year voting, so I I would assume that they saw the signs coming. I mean, occasionally you do get an out of nowhere Rookie of the Year candidate, but this looks like the profile of a guy who probably did have the scouting pedigree coming up. Yeah, you're right, AW. Alfonso had a short peak, but for some reason in my mind, it was a longer and better peak. It might just be my Mets bias. All right, let's go. Let's go ahead and get Altuve because we know we're going to be using him at second. Look at this 159, 155 OPS plus, and then 160 OPS plus. When there's an MVP season, I usually give that a lot of weight too, even if it's not the peak season by the rate stats, if it's close. Yeah, I also think like maybe like in that era there weren't a lot of maybe there just weren't a lot of great NL third basemen. I don't know. I mean, as a even as a Mets fan, I wouldn't be clamoring for him to get a card. But yeah, I think we'll go peak batting average, peak OPS, peak OPS plus. We'll take the MVP season of 2017. Are you talking about Miggy T. Davis? He signed at 16 years old for $1.8 million. That sounds like a sign that he was pretty highly regarded. All right, Aparicio. Now, what's not going to show up here in BREF is his fielding. I'm hoping that Aparicio comes in with a good fielding profile. I mean, at least reputationally, also 9 Gold Gloves, but like reputationally, I just like have always heard of what a good fielder is. Also, check out these stolen base numbers. Led the league or the majors for how many years in a row starting his career? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years in a row starting his career, leading the league or the majors in stolen bases. So I think you got to give credit for that too. That and Gold Gloves. 1, 2, 3. Now, Gold Gloves back then were reputational, but I mean the reputation has to come from somewhere. So I'm hoping it's it's going to be reflected in his profile. If not, there are several other shortstops we can go to if he doesn't import well. But I think this is a 92 OPS plus, which is close to his career high. He has 114 with the White Sox later in his career. But he gives a 57 steals against 17 caught stealing. The year before is a little bit better, 40 steals against 6 caught stealing. But I think this is the best mix of OPS, OPS plus, stolen bases, Gold Glove season. So we'll try bringing in the 1964 Aparicio. And I think the reason at least in my mind, I think it was like I heard from like my friends. I think it was like my friend's dad talking about how I think did he overlap with Brooks Robinson? I think he talked about like Brooks Robinson and Aparicio being like the best left side of the infield that he'd ever seen, and so that made an impression. Let me go back and check who, in case Aparicio doesn't import very well. Who are the other shortstops? Omar Vizquel, but someone said he might be on the naughty list, right? Elvis Andrews, but he didn't really have a good offensive season that I saw. Estrubal Cabrera had some decent offensive seasons, so I'll add him to the bottom of the list here as another player to Estrubal Cabrera. I'm actually looking at his. Again, I'm a little biased because he was a Met too, but I think some of these are legit good seasons. He had MVP votes in 2011. Um, in fact, I'll just go ahead and put 2011. We'll just import him and see how he compares. Elvis Andrews too. Okay, yeah. So and I'm fine skipping those two. We'll skip those two. I don't know how good. I don't know how good Cabrera's defense will be, but yeah. And then we can always go Carlos Guillen. Did Gleyber Torres also play shortstop? We can see, but I think having Estrubal Cabrera is a good backup option. I just hope Aparicio imports well because it'll be fun having a Hall of Famer, another Hall of Famer on the squad. Speaking of, I mean, Miggy's got to be a first ballot guy, right? Is there any world where he doesn't get in on the first ballot? I feel like he's 100% a first ballot guy, but I don't know. Am I way off on that? Okay, AW says easy first ballot. I mean, just when you look at his body of work, it just seems like a pretty obvious first ballot guy, but 50 doubles in the season, never easy to do. This is Bobby Abreu we're looking at right now. Several 140 plus OPS plus seasons, which is a really good sign of quality there. Ooh, I like the 11 triple season. That's pretty cool. 35 doubles, 11 triples, 20 home runs. 335 average, 995 OPS, 147 OPS plus. I mean that's pretty. That's a fun season right there. I mean that's the best blend of extra base hits and average that he has. All right, let's go. 1999 Bobby Abreu. All right, now let's see what the peak Acuna Jr. looks like next to that. if David Ortiz was that, okay, that's a good comp. Yeah, Miggy would definitely get in first ballot ahead of Ortiz for me. See, when it comes to peak seasons, I think Acuna Jr. has a shot. Yeah, 171 OPS plus is crazy. I think this MVP season beats out Abreu. So I think Abreu goes to the bench or to the DH. All right, so I think we're gonna take Abreu and at least move him to DH, maybe to the bench. So then Acuna Jr. is now going to be in the starting outfield. With his 2023 MVP season. Now that makes it possible for Galarraga to bump Abreu. So we'll see. Now center field, depending on how Hidalgo looks, could be a weak spot. But yeah, he has these two peaky seasons, especially this 1028 OPS plus season. 42 doubles, 44 home runs, 314 average. Yeah, so from a career perspective, center field is a little weak, but from a peak season, this Hidalgo season is really good. It's also why he gets a 100 card in perfect team, because this season is a 100 season, I think. 2000. You could probably also make a perfect card out of this 2003. Okay, Maglio Ordonez. This should be a fun one too. All right, let's see what we got here. A bunch of 900 plus OPS seasons, then you jump to a 1029 here in 2007. Hitting 363 with 54 doubles, 28 home runs. Yeah, 2007. Maglio Ordonez. Okay, Wilson Contreras, backup catcher. Oh, AW, who are you talking about with injuries? I'm just catching up on chat. I said you saw shame injuries have really crushed him over his career. Who are you talking about on that? Oh, yeah, totally, totally. The crazy thing is, was it last season he came back from his injury and was like on fire when he first came back? I was like, this guy is amazing. Yeah, and it's weird to say it about a guy who's already a surefire Hall of Famer. But I also think about like how good Mike Trout could have been all time if he didn't get hurt so much. I mean, he's still going to make the Hall, but like, how much better could he have been? I mean, for a backup catcher, these are some really good OPS plus numbers. I think in 2022 with the Cubs. I mean, we should also look at his brother, right? Yeah, if he didn't get hurt, Trout would probably be up there with Mantle and Mays. I can't disagree with that. Yeah, William may be coming in better here. The OPS plus numbers are similar, but his peak season I think is a better peak season. I think this 2024 is better than his brother's peak. And is the 2022 even better than that? It's a smaller sample size, but has better slug. When it's like this, I like to give more weight to the fuller seasons, so we'll go 2024. So we're going to change this over to William. All right, Concepcion, utility infielder. Part of the big red machine. Now, I'm assuming he's going to come in with second base if we do career defense. Because he plays second base primarily later in his career. And I think that's when Larkin's playing short? And then he did play some third base earlier in his career. But if he imports a shortstop only, then we might have to take someone else instead of him. Because his value to the team is primarily going to be as a utility guy. Now, that said, he got MVP votes in 1981, 1979, 1974. Won some gold gloves. I think from a batting perspective, I think the 81 is probably the peak. But within his gold glove era, maybe 74, where he busts out 14 home runs. I think fourth in MVP voting is pretty crazy, though. So let's take 1981. What happened in 1981 that he's fourth in MVP voting? I mean, that is a strike shortened year, right? But that is still crazy that with that stat line, with a 116 OPS plus. Now, granted, he's playing a premier defensive position, but. All right, Melvin Mora. Yeah, look at this utility profile. Short, center, and left. Left, short, center, and second. Then switches to third base. Maybe not a coincidence he has his peak OPS plus season when he's only playing one position finally. But we'll take 2004 and we'll take career fielding so he gets all the coverage. So we'll get his peak bat and we'll take his career fielding. All right, Tony Armas. Now Armas, his not just his peak seasons but his ratings, because he played in a lower power era, but he had power. He may come in with some hot ratings, in which case he may get a starting spot. We'll have to see. This is like, the 1979 Bob Horner, we did the Bob Horner tribute. He came in with 85 power, even though he had 36 home runs, just because 36 home runs is a huge number in 1979. So the same thing could happen with Armas here. Because hitting 43 home runs in 1984, that's a big number for a low power era. So 80, 81, 84, probably the ones we're looking at here. I like 84 because he led the majors in home runs and RBI. I think we'll give credit for that. And this is 1984. All right. It says outfield. This is first base. He's taking a utility outfield spot, but right now we do have Andres Galarraga on the team. We'll see if he stays on. I think for him it's going to be how well he imports. Now look, the 150 OPS plus when he's playing in Montreal instead of Coors Field, pretty huge. LLB, thank you for the tier 1 sub. 3 months total, 2-month streak. You'll get your channel points faster from Twitch, and you'll have access to that discounted channel point redemption if you want to play another community game. LLB, by the way, for anyone who missed it, played Dead Ball Creator roster and had a player with 17.6 WAR. And then also had a star level player with 14.8 WAR. Both of them beat Babe Ruth's single season WAR record. 17.6 is crazy. Alright, so I think having a 150 OPS plus in Montreal is more impressive than a 150 OPS plus in Colorado. That said, the Colorado season, because he's in Colorado, he has 1,000 plus OPS. There's also his 47 home run season in 96. But that's a lower OPS plus. Then in Atlanta, he logs a 157 OPS plus. That's actually might be the most impressive of them all. So let's take 98 and see how that imports. All right, let's shift gears to pitching. Mets legend, Johan Santana. I mean, we're probably going to end up taking a twin season, but I mean, I say probably, like definitely. 182 OPS plus, career low WHIP. 2004. I mean, this is like an all-time season, so we're definitely taking it. Who was the last twin to win MVP? Did Tony Oliva win an MVP? Did Rod Carew? Well, would Rod Carew would he have won it with the Angels if he did win it? Was there someone more recent that I'm forgetting? I don't think Puckett ever won an MVP. Zoilo Versailles? Did no one win one since Zoilo? Oh, Justin Morneau. Yeah, I legit forgot. Did he really win an MVP? If he did, I legit forgot. There's also a period where I wasn't watching a lot of baseball, so it might have been during that period. It was like the late 2000s. There it is, 2006. That is the hole in my baseball knowledge. It's right there, right in the hole, right in the hole of my baseball knowledge. Justin Renault won the MVP. All right, Felix Hernandez. I mean, back to back 170 plus ERA plus seasons, pretty amazing. And then a 170 here in 2014, where he had a sub one whip. I think you got to give a lot of value to the sub one whip. Also, tied for his career high in strikeouts per nine. So I like 2014. He was more productive in 2009. He won the Cy in 2010, but I think 2014 is going to be the best profile. All right, Freddie Garcia. We're just going to stock up on Mariners pitchers here. Where's Max LP80 when you need him? We're stocking up on Mariners. .135 ERA plus in 2001. A 141 in 2004, but that's a smaller sample size. Also went 4 and 7. 2001 you went 18 and 6. Yeah, I think it's 2001 year. You know, let's do this. Now that we hit the pitching staff, let's go ahead and do the first wheel spin of the night. Before I forget. Last time I forgot. So I did the wheel spins too late. Alright, I'll just copy this one. What's it again? 722. Episode 722. Alright, let me update the title and then I'll be able to put it in the chat. Yeah, this has turned out to be a really fun roster. It's going to be a good time simming this, I think. Alright, link to form for tonight's first 5-pack giveaway. Just a random wheel spin. When we're doing roster builds like this, there's really nothing to guess, so we're just going to do a real wheel spin. V Skeet Skeet says, after a pick check, my trivia was wrong, Joe Mauer. Okay. Joe Mauer is the... Are we sure? Alright, that is pinned to the chat. Let me see. Where are we relative to the ad break? Okay, let me push ads. I'm going to go refill my water and stuff. And hit the restroom, and then we'll come back and do the wheel spin. Alright, good luck, everybody. All right, looks like we're back from the ad break. Is everyone else filling out the pack giveaway form? Right, by the time you tell me in chat, you would be done filling out the form because it's 2 questions. So I'm guessing no. All right. All right, so we're going to close the form. We've got 6 contestants tonight. Yeah, if I add 1 space for Speckle at the end, she will 100% win. All right, here are the names. I'm going to copy and paste them into the wheel. One more time. 4. Okay, look at that. That looks nice. All right, 6 names, 6 shuffles. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. AW redeeming scritches for my dog Crouton. We'll do that right after this wheel spin. There's a whole nerd corner over here. There's a V-Skeet corner over here. All right, good luck, everybody. Let's do it. Oh, one last tick over to LLV. Oh, tough loss for AW. Went right, just 1 tick past AW. Wow. Yeah, totally rigged. Crouton blew on it at the very end and it went over that 1 last tick. Alright, let's see. LLB is our winner. You know, according to Nerd of Anarchy's conspiracy theory, whoever submits last wins. LLB did submit last and won. So, let's adding more fuel to Nerd of Anarchy's conspiracy theory there. Alright, let me go ahead and give those scritches to Crouton. These are AW scritches for you. Yeah. There you go. Alright. Okay, so that was Freddy Garcia. We've got him in here. Let me get my roster file back up. There it is. Okay, so we're on the pitchers. Let's see. So you got Freddy Garcia. Okay, Carlos Zambrano is next. Now, one thing I do want to peek at with him is, let's look at his batting. It would be fun to have a 2A. He hit 6 bombs in 06 and 4 in 08 and 09. And he was 5th in Cy Young voting in 06. Now, 2008, not only did he have 4 bombs, he had 337. He had an 892 OPS. So let's keep that in mind when we choose one in 06, 08. That pitching might be a tiebreaker. .117 ERA plus in 08. I mean 04, 160 ERA plus. .160, wow. Close to his lowest whip. His lowest whip is actually in 2005, 1146 whip. What was his batting in 05? He did hit 300. Hit 2 triples and a home run. That's pretty sweet. 93 OPS plus. I think we take his 05. He had a decent bat. I mean, more than decent. He had a good bat. He had a career low whip. He still had the 135 OPS plus. It doesn't have the pedigree of the other seasons because he was fifth in Cy Young going the year before and after. But from a rate stat perspective, I think this is his best season. So we'll take 2005. That's funny, LB. You would have won if you had kept to your original answers. Team, so you said this has to be record-setting wins. Are you saying this roster, this Venezuela roster? I mean, it is a pretty good squad so far. All right. Anibal Sanchez. Let's get his player ID. SANCHAN01. Okay. 162 ERA plus and Cy Young votes in 2013. 1154 WHIP. Ten strikeouts per nine. More only double digit season. Sounds like a winner. 2013. All right, Wilson Alvarez. So who are our lefties? Santana, Alvarez. I think Suarez is a lefty, and I think Betancourt's a lefty. In fact, let's put this down. Santana's a lefty. Felix is a righty. Freddie's a righty. Zambrano's a righty. Sancho's a righty. Wilson Alvarez is a lefty. Oh, Betancourt's righty? Okay, but Suarez is lefty? Okay. I think Alvarez and Suarez might be in the pen, so that's good. We'll have two lefties in the pen. Santana definitely in the starting rotation, probably your number one. All right, Wilson Alvarez. He has some good ERA plus. He's 143. Led the majors in walks. 135. Really reined in the walks this season too, which is nice. 145 with a slightly better whip in 897. I think we'll take the 94 though. It's his 1 year as an all-star. Now what I might be missing is someone who had just like one great year. Because I was sorting by career WAR and then looking for players I thought would have good seasons. So if you know of anyone who had like, not a great or deep career but had like a one big pop-up season, let me know. I'll definitely take into consideration. Ranger Suarez, 2021 season, insane. 308 ERA plus, a 1 whip. So we'll take that. All right, Carlos Carrasco. /136 ERA plus, 139, and a 153. The 153 is a short, only 12 stars. Oh, this is a COVID year. So we do give players a break for a small sample size during a strike year or a COVID year. So we can consider this one. But I'm going to lean towards a non-short season if we can. 2017, 139 OPS plus, 1095 whip, 10.2 strikeouts per 9, a 119 ERA plus, a 1073 ERA plus, and a 10.6 strikeouts per 9. 2015. Yeah, this 2015 is pretty crazy good. We'll take that. All right, Betancourt. I was looking at this 307 ERA plus season, and it is not a small sample. Ooh, what happened there? Am I still streaming? Yeah, it looks like it. A 307 ERA plus. He pitched 68 games. This is not a small sample size here. This is a legit .756 whip. He's going to be a stud in the bullpen. Hector Rondon, another really good relief pitcher season. .228 ERA plus and a 1 whip. Also a 119 with a .98 whip. The .98 whip actually comes with a 10.2 strikeouts per 9 also. But the home runs per 9 were huge. That's why. So I think we'll go with the 2015. Also not a small sample size because he pitched 72 games that year. Now, is this going to be frozen or is it going to... No, it's going to let me go. All right, Kelvin Escobar. Has had some really good cards in the game. And he is related to the Acuñas. Okay, great. You guys are throwing some seasons in there. We'll check those out next. Thank you for that. There's a 141 ERA plus an 11.06 whip. Also a 9.5 strikeouts per nine. Pretty small sample size though. 16 games, 7 starts. Okay, hold on. I'm going to switch. Oh, my OBS is acting weird now too. What happens if I do this? Do you see the... Okay, weird. I'm not seeing that on my OBS, but I am seeing that it is coming through on the screen. We did not have Victor Martinez on the team yet, so we'll check out that season. It might be better than the Contreras season. Okay, I'm going to try to change... I want to try to delete this troublesome BREF window. Okay. Let's see if that behaves any better. So yeah, right now I'm looking at... I think that 2005 is just... That is a smaller sample size. It's not from any shorter seasons. So I think we got to take this 2001 with Toronto. He might be the first cut if we take one of these other relievers. Yeah, why does this keep doing this? That's annoying. Right, lots of good seasons to pick from. .179 OPS plus, 245 OPS plus, 214, 357, but that's too small of a sample size, I think. I mean, 245 is when he came, bursting onto the scene. Jeez, come on, BREF. 1 whip, 13.2 strikeouts per nine. That's also the year where he had the breakout postseason. Is that right? And then he became the closer full time in 2005 and 6. But I think that 2004 is too good to pass up. Okay, so yeah, okay, so Suarez could be an option at third ahead of Edgardo Alfonso. So let's start there. Oh, come on, BREF. All right. Eugenio Suarez, 49 home runs in 2019. 131 131 OPS plus. He had actually better OPS plus in 2020. Oh, that's just the Arizona part is 2025. Never mind. Yeah, right now it feels like I need a reboot, but I can't do that without losing the stream. So we'll just try to finish up. Part of the problem is the 189 strikeouts, so his avoid K is going to be terrible. He still somehow managed to hit 271, which is crazy. So what we'll do is we'll put him down in the parking lot here. We'll import him, and then we'll see how he compares. But yeah, but that's part of why like the home run count is impressive. The 49 home runs, but that's why I tend to go with like the rate stats like OPS, OPS plus. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to compare him to what's his face, Edgardo Alfonso. So T Davis, thank you for that suggestion. Okay, Felipe Vasquez. Let's check out Vasquez. Ah, come on. BREF is driving me batty today. All right. A 256 area plus and a .889. Although I actually might like this 2019 better with the crazy 13.5 strikeouts per nine. And 2019 is the one that AW recommended too. So, all right, let's put him. Let's also put him in the parking lot. I actually think what, he's gonna take Escobar's spot for now. We'll still import Escobar, but I like this profile better than Escobar's. Oh, you know what? The URL isn't updating either. Yeah, it's pulling up the profile, but the URL's not updated. There's definitely something broken here with but my OBS is broken too because my preview screen just shows my wheel spin form and not like right now I'm trying to put um I'm trying to put the roster file in the preview, but it still shows the wheel. But now when I slide it over, it is bringing over the roster file, which is weird. Okay, I think we're gonna have to raid out. So let's do another wheel spin and just raid out of here. Let me grab the names and add them to the parking lot here before we raid out. Let's see. We did talk about Robert Suarez. We passed on him because his peak season is the season we'll be playing in. Victor Martinez, 2014. Jose Alvarado from T Davis. The Victor Martinez from AW. The North American Station Omar Dahl. Okay, so let's end it at that, and let's get the wheel spin ready to go. Oh, Rincon, yeah. I think I skipped past that. 2004. Martinez 2005 more as a catcher option. Okay. We'll look at both. All right, let me focus on this wheel spin so I can raid this out here before I crash. So if you have any other suggestions, put them in the Discord instead of the chat, because I do want to rate us out before I lose the stream. Okay, let's see if I can get another wheel spin format here before we lose the stream. LB, I'm gonna have to do those a little bit later. I'm trying to rate us out of here, so let me get this wheel spin up. But thank you for the channel point redemption. All right, let's see if I can get this up and done before we crash out. You're trying to get Crouton to blow on the wheel again. Let's see. Here's the title. I think you heard his name and he came walking over here looking for scritches. Sorry, buddy, not yet. Not yet. Okay, hopefully this still works. Link to form for tonight's second 5-pack giveaway. Let me pin that. Okay, the new form is pinned. Let me clear out the names on the wheel. Because we're not using OOTP during the stream tonight, I thought I would try to stream without rebooting. Now I know not to do that anymore. I will reboot no matter what we're doing before streaming from now on. Let's see, how are we on? Oh, this is going to be confusing now with the usernames for the wheel. All right, anybody else? You've got 4 contestants in. Normally I would have taken another BRB, given everyone plenty of time to enter, but I am trying to raid out of here before we lose the stream, so we won't be taking a break before this spin. Find a V is in. Anyone else? Now, according to Nerd of Anarchy's theory, Find a V is the last one in. We'll probably win this. So we'll see. Alright, I'm going to close the form. There are 5 of you in this one. Good luck, everybody. All right, 5 contestants, so we'll do five shuffles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, there's a LLB Nerd of Anarchy sandwich over here. Who else? That's the only real bunching up I see. All right, good luck, everybody. Oh, no way. LLB twice in one night. Unbelievable. Gets a 17.6 war player and then wins the wheel twice. Well, I don't know that LLB rigged it. She did give those scritches to Crouton. Crouton is looking pretty suspicious over there. Crouton, did you rig this, buddy? Are you messing with my streams? All right, let me mark down the winner, LLB. It also could have been karma for AW's accusational name. All right, let's see who we're gonna raid into. Unless AW, are you gonna stream? If you're gonna stream, I'll just raid into you. Oh, look at that! My whole system just flickered again. Oh, now I'm not hearing myself. Did I lose the stream? Still here? Okay. Let me try refreshing my Twitch screen then. All right. It's oh. Okay, my Twitch. You're saying you can still hear me though. My Twitch just crashed. All right. So AW's not going to stream. Oh, I'm signed out of. Now I'm signed out of Google Sheets. Everything's starting to fail. Okay, let's get out of here. Tugi is on. So we'll raid Tugi. Oh, my Twitch just came back on. Okay, now I can search to see if there's any other OOT streamers or affiliates in particular. There's usually not at this time of night, but we will still check. Oh, great. Now Twitch thinks I'm not logged in. All right. We cannot get out of here soon enough. Well, I really learned my lesson the hard way tonight. I'm not going to stream again without rebooting first. Alright, we're just going to raid Tugi because I can do that without having to look anything up. I did consider Nocturnal Hannah a really fun variety streamer. But we'll just raid Tugi. Tugi is playing sports, FC26. So let's just raid him. Yeah, I don't know if it's actually gonna raid out. That's a good point. Thank you, Ezra Denny, for the raid. Tugi24 is who we're gonna raid into. Alright, thanks everyone for being here. Oh, if I can see my calendar. Okay. So if I'm able to stream Thursday and Friday. Thursday, I might be starting late because I'll be driving back from Hood River from a softball tournament. But I will be doing pack rips Thursday night. If I am streaming Friday afternoon will be this Venezuela Memorial roster sim. I'll tie up all the loose ends between now and then. And then Smiley Face Jane playing Peak Performances in 1965. That's where she can take any historic Major League team and replace 5 players with peak versions of themselves. If I don't stream Friday, she'll play that game on Sunday. If I do stream on the 4th, on Saturday, Flying WV will play a game. If I don't, then Flying WV will just play the following Friday. Other than that, it'll be back to normal at least by Sunday. So, and then PTS has been moved to the 18th, so the PTS roster builds and drafts will be the 16th and 17th. All right. Thanks again for being here, everybody. Hope to see you Thursday night, possibly a little bit later than normal, but hopefully right around 10 o'clock Pacific time again. All right, let's see if this raid out works.